Okay. So we want to do a section called we're gonna have some new sections, some new things that we're gonna start doing, and the first one's gonna be called trigger warning. Reactions to how people reacted to us, right? So basically, if you are having a reaction to us, and this is the framing, and you feel triggered by something that we say, that's your fucking problem. Actually, that's actually it's actually something that you need to work on. If you hear something that comes from this podcast, from any one of us, and you feel triggered by it, perhaps you could look deep inside yourself and figure out why you're getting triggered. Jay.
Good night, Cleveland. Oh, no, sorry. Two things. That does not mean that you have a different set of facts or data or your personal experience. That does not discount any of those.
Or invalidate it. Right.
We're speaking strictly of your emotional reaction.
Right.
Without foundation.
Right.
Basically, you're not watching and listening to us. You are watching and listening to yourself. And what bubbles up comes out of self. If you're just taking us in for information and perspective, and that's all it is, why are you triggered?
Bingo.
Something I said, well, mostly something maybe probably for me, that I said.
You are kind of triggered.
Bubbles up something inside of you. But for 99 other people, it does nothing. The feedback I've gotten from 10 people have been 10 different things. There's no through line in there. So that means that shit's personal.
And there you have it.
Oof. There's a couple things.
Go ahead.
I wish my father would have said bye.
Yeah, that part too.
Nigga just left.
That part too.
That's not historically accurate, but it's funny. Mom's left.
Yeah, the timeline is off.
Mom's left pop. But I went with her though.
He could have called.
He could have called. They wouldn't answer. No, pre-caller ID.
Pre-caller ID. You would answer.
Yeah.
Hung up on him.
You had no choice.
You're right.
I probably called and the phone was busy. Pre-call waiting. You know what I mean?
True that. Like that father figure, that man figure in your life would have told you. You wish they would have told you in your 20s.
I wish they would have told me how painful it would be.
What part?
All of it.
Yeah.
Say more.
Growth is painful. Uncomfortable that turns into painful sometimes. I wish they wouldn't have said painful. I wish they would have used the word uncomfortable. Right? If it's comfortable, you're probably not growing.
Right.
I look back at what I thought was negative experiences at the time. Those were my greatest experiences of growth.
Yeah.
I think of the breakups. I think of my divorce. I think of my losses financially. I think of this hard decisions I had to make. I think of people's feelings I hurt along the way. Relationship with my mother, my father, all the family stuff. But those were all leaping points in my growth. The stuff that I was so proud of and beating my chest, most of those I was still in the same place. I didn't move an inch. That was just feeding my ego.
Yeah, man, in the coaching world, we say comfort zone, stretch zone, panic zones, right? And those stretch zones is where you grow. You cannot grow, as you said, in those comfort zones. What say you, Ren?
That there are no absolutes. That you're very rarely ever 100% sure. And so when you choose a direction, just go in the direction.
You rocking on faith.
Yeah.
But faith on information that
definitive, well, based in some real empirical data
Right.
and proper judgment.
Right.
And that failure is not negative.
Right.
I wish they would have told me, like, when I figured out that failure was not negative,
That part.
it was it was liberating. That it's okay. It's okay. And that even within that space, that even if you work as hard as you're going to work and you put forth all every fiber of your being and focus, that doesn't guarantee success either. You know what I mean? Because you're told that if you put together a certain group of principles and go a certain way, you will succeed. No, sir. No, sir.
But here's what I think is even lost in that is we grow in that quote unquote failure, right? So success is not necessarily, oh, we missed the mark, sinning, right? We missed the mark. It's who did we become in that situation, right? What did we find out about ourselves? What do we know new about ourselves? How do we evolve, switch, pivot, change, whatever? Because we thought it was this and it wasn't. You know, it was not like, oh shit, we got there, it wasn't what we thought it was. It was like, okay, look at myself. How did I evolve in that process?
Keep score, but don't count.
Oh, okay. Explain that. Say more.
You can't run away from what you've done. They're keeping score. You can't be a rogue ass dude your whole life and not suffer from the fallout because you've affected people, right? But internally, don't count. What I mean is, don't pile up on yourself.
Don't beat yourself
because
up.
you can transform.
Right.
But with your transformation, does not guarantee other folks forgiveness, other folks understanding. You're not entitled to any of it. You got to stand on the decisions that you made in those moments, right? I was young. I didn't know.
It's all excuses.
All excuses. You did what you did. You got to stand on that square, right? That does not mean you don't grow. That does not mean you don't evolve. But I was young is not an excuse.
You're not defined by your worst moment, but you also are not defined by your very best moment. It's an amalgamation of all your experiences.
Amalgamation.
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with steel.
It has something to do with drawing, right? Is that animation? I was like,
No, amalgamation.
We do that too often too, though.
That was an album name for Outkast that didn't make it.
they ended up calling it Equimini.
Yeah, it's going to be amalgamation.
So what were you saying, Ren?
We end up I'm doing A's in my head for A names and then getting to Equimini. We end up sitting in certain spaces too long. We end up celebrating our victories far too up and beating our chest too much. And then there's other times in whatever phase, whatever we're going through emotionally in life, we end up tearing ourselves down far too much and destroying, our own self-esteem. If you have a self-awareness, because we know some people that don't have self-awareness and they're just not capable of being self-critical. So the key thing is not to wallow in either one of those spaces.
And there are real examples of that, right? I have a guy, a buddy, a client. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, right? The last night of that climb, he said they started like in the middle of the morning. So by the time they got to the peak, the sun would be rising. Like, beautiful sight. The thing is, you can't hold that too long. If you stay at the peak too long before you start descending, it fucks everything up.
Yeah.
Right? So if you celebrate too much, you destroy your descent. You destroy your descent.
Yeah.
So that's a great point.
Yeah. That's a great analogy.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. It touched my heart.
But that wasn't mine. That was his.
I know. What I'm saying is, it touched my heart. It's just wow. I wanted to hug you. I told my son this once. I was like, you got to get to fucking up and not fucking down.
Go ahead, explain. Unpack that.
Because he was talking about learning from your failures. Mm-hmm. Most of the greatest failures, they come from trying. They come from fucking up.
Yeah.
How many times, man, do you think that in the making of Microsoft, how many times was that computer fucked up? How many ideas in Apple? How many times fucking up in the plans? Take it back to George Washington Carver, working with them peanuts. How many times you think he fucked up? How many times you think he failed different things? How many times you think Dr. King failed?
Right.
You know, fucking down is easy. It's really staying at your level or below. So it's not a challenge. It doesn't even look like you're messing up in the moment, but you're just standing still. You gotta get to fucking up. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's just a real smart ass way of saying challenging yourself. Go get it. Right? You have to face the fear. Right? And that goes back to being self-contained. Judgment, other people's opinions, other people's words. Okay, that's great. I respect what you're saying. I hear you. But the ultimate is inside of you. And that's why you have to make sure that you're clear. Because if what's inside of you is damaged, what's inside of you is in principle, what's inside of you is messed up, then that judge will destroy you.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Y'all gonna say something profound. I'm gonna say something first.
Okay.
When it comes to my children, I procreated. When it comes to a lot of other niggas, they amateur created. And they need to step their game up. That's a misconception of manhood. That you can just roll it out there. That it don't take development. That it doesn't take work. That it doesn't take a plan. It's not just gonna happen. That's why I say procreate. Vision. Right? It's dudes just out here being, living, whatever. Right? They think, oh, I got the new watch. I got the new car. Look at me. Right? Second misconception. And I'm going to let it go. Pass it around. And this is just a personal thing that gets on my nerves. Oh, that's a real man. Oh, I'm a real man. We're all men. We're on different places in the journey. I'm not better than any other man. I may be more evolved in one area,
right,
and he's far more advanced in another. But I want to ignore my don't hurt me spot and point at his. We are all walking the journey to manhood.
Yes.
Some of us get further than others, but ultimately we're on our own individual journeys. Every man you walk and meet is a real man.
I like that. All right. Biggest misconception of manhood.
That it is tied to something material and the ability to provide material things. You know, so much of what's built into the manosphere and the coupling and your man and your husband and wife relationships and boyfriend and girlfriend and companionship and things like that is built on these completely arbitrary financial guidelines or financial expectations that come from whatever your upbringing is, whatever how you've been socialized, and that is somehow a correlation to manhood. And then that is weighted, because we have all these things that we have when we're building whatever it is that we love or we like, or we have these criteria, and then we weight things in this criteria. And the way they weight finances in it is always far more than it needs to be, and how it's used and wielded as a way to judge manhood. And it's that's due in large part to white patriarchy, because we've been excluded from the finances. We've been systematically excluded from the finances. So now we could create this paradigm and this criteria for judging manhood after we excluded these cats. These cats can never be men because they can't provide in this way based on this criteria that this group over here, this white patriarchy set up. And then you get everybody to buy in on that, and then you're like, hey, well, you niggas ain't doing this. Man, you ain't no man.
Oh, well, see, so what needs to be in the redefinition of black manhood then?
100%, because that was the only manhood I've been talking about all the time.
Oh, okay.
I can't speak on nobody else.
Right. Well. The one piece that we get judged by mostly is the financial piece, right? That's the biggest one.
Okay.
Like how successful are you, and successful in specific ways. So it's not just I'm successful because I do sell T-shirts and incense, but I'm good at that, and that pays the bills. That's not seen as success. But if I'm a professional or something and got 6 figures or whatever, that's seen as success. So we have to redefine what black manhood is based on the wealth gap, based on the lack of participation in the whole professional wealth piece.
Let's do some baseline work.
Go ahead.
Okay. If you have children and there are no barriers that are insurmountable to be in their lives, and you're not in them, you're not handling your business as a man.
Okay.
X on manhood.
I like that.
I don't care if you have a corporate job or you sell incense or whatever.
I like that.
You have to be self-sustainable, self-contained.
Okay.
All right? You have to be able to earn a living, right? How you earn it legally is up to you. If you have responsibilities that you've created that you're not handling and you've put them on somebody else to take care of,
It's a failure as manhood.
you're a failure as a man. Okay? Not, oh baby, you could do better. No, you're failing. Now you're failing. That does not mean you can come back. But you need to know when you walk into class right now, the teacher gave you an F on the board. Okay? So we're not talking about that. I don't want nobody to hear what we saying and go, oh yeah, they said. No. If you're not taking care of those basics,
Taking care of the needs.
you got to work on that.
There's needs that exist. There's needs and
Now,
wants. And if
back
you're
to
not
the-
providing those needs, then you were failing.
Now, back to the regular scheduled programming. Manhood is spiritual. There's a spiritual component to this. All right? There is something about a realized, developed, self-contained man with wisdom that deals in honor and principle when he speaks, how he carries himself. And you'll see men and boys gravitate to that man. There's a spiritual component to it. You'll find like souls and you'll commune when you get to certain levels. It becomes attractive. You start attracting other people to you. So there's a spiritual component that feeds you. I believed in all the things that you're supposed to do to be successful. I went to a good school, damn good school. Shit cost a ton of money. Right? Got the degree, got the job, had the house, did it all, right? Had the money in the bank, partying, doing it, the American dream. There was the biggest hole in my spirit.
Right.
Wake up the next morning after doing this, doing that, and had, oh, okay, you got a Zumba class you late for? What the hell was that?
It's my timer.
Now, Zumba may not be manhood. Biggest hole in my spirit, man, empty.
Yeah.
Right? I was missing the fulfillment, the spiritual component.
Yeah.
I had built a life on somebody else's philosophies.
Yeah.
I was operating off of hearsay.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything as an anchor. What's your anchor? What holds you down?
Your
It
grounding
ties into
principle.
what makes you happy, but what's your anchor? Because you can't be these things for people and yourself if you don't know what your anchor is. What are your principles, man? And that's why so many of these dudes is just out here floating.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything to leave somebody hanging.
Well,
They leave themselves hanging every day.
Good point. I think another piece, aspect of the the financial piece of manhood is ambition, right? Because oftentimes I hear women say, oh, I can roll with him if he making X amount of dollars, 50, 60, 80, as long as he's ambitious and he's seen, he's got ambition to do or make more. When to that dude, out of context, that sounds good on paper. In context, that dude may have grown up in the project dirt poor, and that 80 is this dude is working in all these things we talk about: his vision, his purpose, values, guiding principles, spiritual, and being responsible, right? So that ambition piece kind of be fucking shit up on the black definition.
But it goes back to standing on your square and knowing yourself. So if I can stand in front of women and say, okay, you need to evaluate yourself. I can stand in front of men and say you need to evaluate yourself. Stand on your square, and hey, homeboy, that's not the woman for you. I don't give a damn how good the sex is. I don't give a damn how pretty she is. Take your Sammy Davis tap dancing ass shoes off and let her know who you are.
And even in that moment, if you don't understand what's going on in the moment as you're trying to process it, you have to be able to say, you know what, hold up. I'm not fully in accordance with what's going on right now. I need a moment to process this. And then you need to go back and have the ability to gather based on the information you have now. Like, I have some new information about my circumstances. Now let me reevaluate and then not make an emotional decision, make a decision based in the information that I have and adjust my path as such. And a lot of times is that we feel like we always have to know, and we don't have to know.
Right.
Like something comes at you, and man, it's really okay to say I have no fucking idea.
Right.
And then go out and then put yourself on the pathway to gather information so you could properly assess that situation and make the most informed decision that you can. I see men all the time put in situations and they feel like they have to have an answer at the moment, and I'm like,
applying new information. Go ahead.
Who's to say that your purpose won't lead to more later? You got to go on your path.
Right.
Other people can't dictate your timeline.
Right.
Coming out of school, I took a divergent career path. Most people in my family, including my mother, was like, what the hell are you doing? Two of my boys, one that's at the table, was like, yeah, that's perfect for you, right? I took it, turned out pretty damn good, okay? Years later, 20 years later, he's in a situation. He's about to take a career path that not nobody we knew. What is that? What is that career? We had a conversation. I said, do it.
Yep.
Because 20 years ago, I had the experience of doing it.
Yeah.
For me, you'll be unfulfilled down the road, right? That's why I say, all that tap dancing, all that fitting in,
stand on your square.
all that, this, anybody could have a checklist. That's for them.
Yeah.
I checked all those boxes, but I didn't check my own. Check your own damn box.
And there it is. We want to say, I want to say thank you, man. Thank you. I mean, this is and will be and has been an ongoing conversation with us about really defining and redefining and evolving the definition of manhood in a sphere, in a box of it's portable. It doesn't change. It's legacy. It's certain things, certain principles don't change. Like the stuff that we talked about today: vision, purpose, values, guiding principles, spiritual responsibilities. That doesn't change. It looks different depending on the time. But yeah, thank you. So again, thank everyone for coming out and sitting in with us at the lounge, Skinny Black's Lounge.
And if you sit down when you pee, you on some sucker shit.